And this is the core research that we talk about throughout the book and frankly throughout our work. So I was working with a leadership consulting practice of a firm, and we would bring people up onto the west side of Pikes Peak here in the US for a week at a time and put them through a number of assessments. And our clients began to ask, what's the magic mix? You guys see all kinds of leaders through here. What's the magic mix of personality and natural ability that's going to produce a better leader? And we had data. We had the ability to run that data. We had enough data that it was going to be a statistically significant. Well, if we found a correlation, we had enough. We had enough numbers that it was going to be a legitimate correlation, statistically speaking. And so we ran that initial analysis to try to answer their questions. And that was with 2,000 data points. A few years later, it got run again with over 20,000 data points. So we had multiplied our data points by 10. So we had plenty of data to draw some conclusions. And my colleague Vanessa Kiley, she was the one with her fingers on the keyboard running the SPSS software. And what she found was not what we were expecting. We were looking for connections between personality and I say natural ability. Let me clarify what I mean by that. Not natural leadership ability, but natural capability. So, one of the things on that test, for example, it's called the Highlands, is if I show you a list of 15 numbers, will you might remember 12 of the 15 and I might remember three. That is back to kind of an innate ability. And so natural abilities is measured on those kinds of things. And so we were looking for correlations between those two assessments and a leadership 360 that we were giving. And what the software came back to us, it basically said, don't look at personality. There's nothing statistically significant there. Don't look at the natural ability. There's nothing statistically significant there. But if you look just within your leadership 360, you're measuring 8 areas of leadership. What you probably didn't know, the software said to us, is that just 2 of the 8 areas are responsible for 77% of the variability throughout the entire 360. And I had a similar look on my face to the one that you just had. I was like, what? Because I think our natural inclination, we're measuring 8 things. They're probably all relatively, all equally important. And what we found, if you think about a pizza, is that there were 2 slices of pizza that were way bigger than all the other slices combined. Fast forward 3 years, so let's save everybody some time. And when I share this next part, there might be some people that lose a little respect for me because they might say it took you 3 years to figure this out, and I own it. I own it. It's one of those things sometimes where it's right in front of you and you don't see it for a while. But after 3 years of sitting with this data, I was in my office one day. I'd actually moved on from the consulting company. I wasn't working with them anymore. I should have been doing another part of my job at that time, but I was instead doing what I like to do, which was thinking about leadership. And I looked at my whiteboard and it just landed on me in that moment. I don't know why I hadn't seen it previous to that moment, but in that moment, I realized that those two big, huge slices of pizza that make up 77% of that circle of the total possibilities, they were different than the other six. Those two were about who you are as a person. The other six were about what you do. And that's when I like my mentor worked down the hallway. I just about ran down the hallway and scribbled on his whiteboard as fast as I could. And I was like, wait, this is what this is saying. This is saying that 3/4 of our effectiveness as leaders comes from who we are, not what we do. And then comes the question for all of us, which is how much work, really, really, am I doing on who I am? Because in the leadership world, that is often a very small number when we really break down what, the who that we're talking about. So that's how the who, not what principle was born. It was fresh out of data and continues to be based on that data to this day.